Okay, folks, good morning. Move this thing out of the way. I don't know how I would have gotten all this done without a hot glue gun. Well, I know how I would have done it. It would have been with epoxy. It would have been a hell of a lot messier, that's for sure. This thing's been on actually all night by accident. Oops. I try to be good at that, but unfortunately I'm human. So shit happens. Luckily it didn't overheat or anything. So yesterday we were working on kind of pushing through and doing this build kind of out loud, brainstorming. That's how I usually do stuff. I don't necessarily have a set idea what this was going to look like. You'll know when you see it. You'll know as you just kind of brainstorm and realize, okay, I want to build this vehicle and I want to have this attribute and let's try this and that type of stuff. We'll end up with this beast of a thing, which is a combination of I guess technically 3 vehicles, plus some resin parts, some 3D printed parts, 3D printed resin, 3D parts, something like that. And some tank track parts also from Plastic Soldier Company. And we've got this contraption thing here. And we're not quite done. We're 90% done, I'd say. We got to put armored things around the windows and put some other decor on there that would be fitting of the name of this vehicle. This is a support vehicle or an important vehicle for this next faction. I really should call it faction. I don't do any fantasy or science fiction stuff where they just go to town saying faction this and faction that. I don't like calling it teams like it's a Formula One race or something like that, because it isn't. It's much more than that. But yeah, I wanted to use the perks from the horror perks for the Gaslands game for this particular team, which is going to be called the Prophets of Petrol. And they're a religious sect which doesn't use a current religion. Although this might actually be a legitimate religion these days. I just don't know about it. I hope it isn't. But it's these folks that worship anything motor-like. Engines, oil, diesel, pistons, all that kind of stuff. So, that's what these guys are. They're a bunch of apocalyptic zealots. So this particular vehicle is going to be called the Iron Mercy, and we talk more about it when we get some other people on here instead of just being a monologue about nothing really. I don't want to repeat myself. Mainly because it's annoying if somebody ends up watching this like after the fact. I don't know that there's many of you that do that. I appreciate you guys if you do. This is my way of staying on track on this build, so I stay entertained. I've tried doing other things like listening to music or as I like to say, books on tape, but it's really audible, something like that. I'm a lot more successful just running my mouth and kind of talking about what I'm doing and why and other stuff. Let's remove all this excess hot glue. Every thing you use as a glue has a downside. Everything uses a glue. Every glue has a downside. Regardless of how good or how universal it is for gluing anything. I would say the most universal glue I have is epoxy. But the downside is you waste a lot. You know, but it gap fills. It's stronger than anything else. It doesn't particularly smell bad, but it fills gaps. Two things that won't glue together. It does wonders. It probably doesn't work really well on styrofoam, but we don't need it to be good on styrofoam. Dries damn near instantaneous. There's a little bit of delay. But it's not the best at like really detailed stuff because it leaves residue, or if it gets on something, it's very hard to get it off. You can do it, but you're going to put some elbow grease behind it. It's definitely the strongest one. It has some flexibility properties, which almost always are a good thing. It'll flex a little bit before it cracks. Opposite of super glue, that'll crack before it ever flexes. I use super glue just because it's handy, and I've got 3 different kinds that I use. Good morning, Hoffman. And the latest addition to it is a hot glue gun. And the hot glue gun's ability is it's almost like, you know, tacky, something tacky. You can like, okay, well, let me glue this on here and see how it looks. And if it doesn't work or if it comes out, you can come in with the tip and reheat it and pull it off. Or, you know, make this bead where I've got like this welding bead that takes the front of this school bus and the back of this Baja Bison and smooth it out. You know, like this is not a very precise thing. But I can come in and put some here, and in a little bit, when this dries a little bit more, come in and smooth it out a little bit. But it leaves these little spider webs. That's probably the biggest problem with it. Which isn't really a problem. It's just like, okay, let's take contacts out and make sure I didn't lose any, so you don't have these little spider webs, so to speak. When you start making this one? Last night. Yeah, I designed it. So I'll take you from the top since you weren't here. I finished the 2 cars I was working on, and I figured, well, it's time to do a vehicle for the profits of petrol. So I'm laying all the attributes that these vehicles have on using the attributes, the horror perks that I wrote the other night. And I just kind of started from the top, purifying flames. Okay, that's really a support thing where, you know, you basically take damage yourself, but you salvage other vehicles, and it's irrespective of range. So you could have a race. You could have a race. This guy just goes through the start line and just parks there the rest of the fucking race. He can take up to 3 points of damage, or she, depending your gender of your vehicle. It. can literally park. And when it's its turn, it can pick a friendly vehicle, take 3 damage in place of that vehicle, and heal up to 3 damage on that vehicle. So because of that, this is a useful vehicle to have. The mobile mechanic trait, which means every turn, if you don't use one of your crew members, he's the mobile mechanic, he can repair 1 heal on this thing. Now, you can't go over your original number, but he can do that. Those 2 things seem to be really good in sync. And when I was looking through all these other things, it seemed like this is a really handy vehicle to have on that team, almost as a given, because almost every one of these horror perks involve self-deprecating damage. So in other words, you do damage to your vehicle in the hopes of doing damage to someone else. It's not automatic, but you're self-damaging you. So if you have a team that is kind of one of the things that they're doing all the time, that's one of their tactics, defining attributes, then you need a healer around, or 2. So you want a vehicle that can absorb a lot of damage. But I didn't want it to be really expensive. I didn't want to be like, okay, well, we've got this big command vehicle that soaks in all this damage, but it costs 50 points. Well, most races you're not going to be able to use a 50-point vehicle. So I couldn't get away with it 27. So it's going to be a 35-point vehicle. So it's got Purifying Flames, where you can heal other people. Mobile Mechanic, so it can heal itself, because you're not going to be healing people every turn. You're like, all right, well, let's take this turn to do. Well, you could do Mobile Mechanic and the Purifying. The Purifying Flames doesn't use any people, so you can always heal yourself. So now you're only really taking 2 damage every turn, right? Because you could heal one of them back up. It's got a ram on it. It originally it was not going to have tank tracks. It was just going to have the wheels, but it looks so much better with the tank tracks. And that kind of happened because I wanted to put I had like 3 points left. I'm like, let's put a BFG on it. So this top of this Corvette that I got from the junkyard, and it doesn't turn or anything. It wouldn't have turned on the Corvette, and it's a series of guns. So all of them together do the BFG damage. It doesn't have to be one mega cannon that does all the damage. It could be, spin it however you want. But it's still the same thing. You get 1 ammo and that's it. So, we just got to make it look the part. It's going to be a cool team. I went and read all the perks. The perks are hard to use, but I've built 130 vehicles or so without using any of them. Let's give them a try. They don't have to be game-winning perks. It just has to be like, let's have a different experience, right? Let's play some cars that are going to play unlike any of the other cars. So let's have a different experience. So we're going to add some gas cans or something like that on here. And we're going to cover up the front of the school bus. And probably going to see what decals I have. Is I'm probably going to put a white cross, not for religious purposes, but for a ambulance purpose, right? It's not going to be ambulance colored, and that was, ChatGPT gave me some ideas of what it could look like, and I was like, all right, that kind of works. And I got a lot of German crosses that are in white, like from Poland, for my German vehicles on 1/72nd scale, but I'm never going to do any German-Polish vehicles, so maybe I'm not going to go that route, but let's just see what it looks like, let's brainstorm a little bit. All right. So let's smooth this out a little bit more. And then I have to stop. I don't have to. I'm going to choose to stop relatively early because I've got to do. I don't want to call it a honey-do list because I want to do it. But there's a couple things that I need to do around town early before too many people show up. And one of them is I got to get rid of some old fuel. I've got a couple of 5-gallon fuel tanks. Just rubber ones or plastic ones or whatever the hell they're called from a couple of years ago. No, I think from last year where we didn't have a storm. So I'm like, all right, well, the fuel's gone bad. And even if it didn't go bad, I don't really have a use for it. So I got to go take it I found out locally where I can dispose of that, or I can have them dispose of it for me. I don't want to just pour it in the yard. Probably not a good idea. And it's kind of near the flea market. So I think I'm going to head to the flea market. Because that's exactly what I need is more fucking fleas. No, just try. Look, if you're going to make a road trip, try to knock out several things with it. If not for the purposes of, fuel consumption, just time. Like, man, I don't want to go all the way over here and just do this. Let's try to knock out another task with it. Put a little bit here. This thing worked great to fill this gap around this turret. And all of these weld spots are going to be really rusty. That's like your opportunity to put a lot of like corrosion and shit in those places. All right, let's take a look at the sides and make sure we don't have any flyaways. On here, other than that spot I just did, all of this on this side looks pretty good. And this is, by the way, the suspension, if you don't recognize it, of a Stewart. I have extra Stewart stuff. Flea market's always, the one we have locally is a bit depressing. It's a bit depressing but I don't have any high hopes. I've been to it before. I had picked up, 10 or 12 vehicles from there before, including I believe Fist Off is one of them. I don't know if I did an unboxing video or unpackaging video of what I picked up that trip, but it was, I want to say it was a year ago, but that's not true because I haven't even been doing this for a year. We're not going to count the original 4 vehicles that I did 7 years ago. We're going to count since September. I haven't been doing this a year yet. So, and now I'm just getting a deluge of things suggested to me all the time by people that do, I don't mind, the people that do Hot Wheels collecting. I actually like going through, there's people that do a case opening and like pause and see what vehicles are coming up. I'm like, all right, that could be a cool vehicle. But a lot of them are just repaints, so I'm like, I don't need more repaints of things. And then these people on Facebook Marketplace. I'm trying to sell these and they have like 12 of the same vehicle. Like, it's not a money-making scheme, Let's cut this gently. The little church building that I ordered is supposed to be in next week. I don't know if it will come in because I can't get any more updates because it came from Ching Pang Tui. And once it leaves Ching Pang Tui, you don't get any updates until it is at the local post office. It'll say packaging. Okay, now leaving the rail yard at Ching Pang Tui, going through customs, reaching host country. And that's it. You don't hear about it until it's on your doorstep. I should write that down. My make-believe country, Ching Pang Tui. I just came out with that right now. Well, Ching, we should be Xingpang Tway. Let's see. I'll have to fine tune that a little bit. I want it to look legitimate. Ching Pang Tway. I got some kaiju stuff coming from Hong Kong. I guess I'll expect the same. Yeah. Kaiju stuff, yeah. Does kaiju always have to be Asian? I mean, can the Kraken be a kaiju? And did kaiju originate with a nuclear weapon? What I'm saying is, before Japan got nuked, were there any kaiju before? Or that was just almost kind of like, these people were, it kind of started that lore of maybe you'll wake up this big monster because, of radiation or whatever. Or have there been like kaiju before Hiroshima? How did I spell it? Ching, I don't want to, I hate Wade Gillies type spelling. So Ching should be Xin, and I put a G on it, but it probably should be Xin. Pang, there's like that general called Pang so-and-so, so it's P-A-N-G. I don't know how to spell Tway. I mean, I just made it up. It's probably not a legitimate Chinese type word, I put T-U-E, but, I've never even said that before until it was live. I'm like, Ching Pang Tway, This rolls off your tongue. Ching Pang Wei. Ching Pang. Yeah, but is there a Tway? No, Wei's a legitimate cool place. Yeah, Ching Pang. Oh, Pang. There's no Pang. Isn't there like a guy named Pang Tuo or something like that? Of course, that might be in Wade Gillies. Why do I think there's a Pang Tuo? Pang General. General Pang. There's a General Pang in the ass. There's a General Pang. Oh. General Pang. Qingyun. Warlords. Fictional. Never saw this. I can't watch one of these, Chinese movies that has like complete fake uniforms for the troops. And they may look really cool, but they're just completely fake. Or like all the uniforms, like everybody's dressed completely in black. Like, that's a lot of ink. That's a lot of tints. Sway. Ching Peng Sway. I'll write that down. Ching Peng Ching Peng Sway. Yeah, it's only the modern Chinese I don't like. I like all the ancient stuff. It's really cool. Even like I've said before, I'm sure those ancient people were much worse human beings than the plan guys are now. But Everybody was more brutal back then. One thing that's always sucked about the Chinese, and I stand to be corrected, is for a group of people that has a really interesting, we'll call it mythology, characters, lore. The flags for their army troops suck. I mean, they could really have some outstanding looking flags. And same thing for the Japanese. None of the samurai flags are like, oh, that's wonderful. You know? They're like too minimalistic. And probably Koreans as well, you know? But yeah, you could have like some elaborate, and it's probably impractical. It's like, oh, well, you just can't see it at a distance or something like that. I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. I want to be like, if I'm some fancy ass general wearing, fancy armor, I want a fancy flag. Have some, golden crane with, a sun or something like that behind it, or, it'd be, there's lots of stuff to pull from. I know maybe it's a little bit more Kung Fu Panda than Kung Fu Panda is. I don't know if I saw the third one. I love that first movie because it's just so fucking beautiful. It's just so fucking. I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, oh look, the clouds are all curly and and the color between. I mean, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I know that when my daughter was little and I was building my first Tang army, she was watching Mulan, and some of the color schemes that I got for some of the stuff in the Tang army, I got some ideas from the Mulan guys. They had fancy formations. That's right. Disney does some things I approve of, and lots I don't. But you get ideas on stuff like some. What was that movie? The Scottish movie that they went to go see, Brave. I'm like, there's a lot of things that are just like you could just lift from that. And I know there's make believe shit, but just inspiration. Like, I want to build what do they call it, a camp, and it has some of these attributes. You can at least see some of it on there. They actually made it Brave. They actually made I mean, main clan. I don't remember what the hell it's called, but the main clan has a tartan that they made up, and they supposedly submitted it to the College of Tartandom or whatever, and it's got purple and stuff on it. So I thought that was pretty cool, but yeah, some things are some things are can give you inspiration, or you can see how, oh, these two colors together might look good, or maybe that's a terrible idea, or Good morning, Ben. My other viewer. My other viewer that comments. I'm finally on at a decent time for you. I know that I'm always on, and it's I try to get on here as soon as I can, but it's past your bedtime sometimes. I don't blame you because it's not like I stay up really late either. This is the only bad thing that the hot glue gun has. Well, it's not a very strong bond, but it's not lacking. Like, I mean, I actually had to adjust one of these wheels, and it took me a while to pull it off. I actually had to warm it up and move it out of the way. But I don't mind that I don't have a ton of interaction from people. Maybe a lot of people just sit in the background and just do whatever. I'd rather have that than people come in and try to strong arm you or argue with you, which I've had happen a couple of times on things on Facebook, and I'm absolutely intolerant about it. Like, I don't go and say, you should do this, you should do that, you should do the other thing, and like, well, I didn't do it because of this. Well, you should still fucking do it. Like, I don't do that to other people. So I have zero tolerance for that shit. Like, I'll block the person. They're just not being reasonable. It's like, dude, go out and get a fucking job, man. If you want to argue that much, go past the bar. You know? I can't stand any kind of supposed social interaction where all people are doing is arguing about shit. Like, you're not solving anything. You know? You're making me spell correct things just because you're, a knobhead. Like I said, it'd be different. It's like if I did shit like that. Like, oh, you're just getting more of your medicine. I don't do that shit. I just like lots of stuff. I don't have to go on there and go, I don't like those pants you're wearing. Okay, you don't wear them, On the off chance that I actually miss something of this and have to take it off later, it's not the big a deal. It's just annoying to have a flyaway. It kind of is like a little flyaway, a little thing like that. See if we can get closer to this. But I did some heavy cutting. I did it off camera. I don't like cutting metal. I really think I'm going to take off a finger every time I do it. I mean, I'm super careful. We use eye protection. It's at relatively low speed. There's no reason to go 10,000 RPM, for this. You use the right cutting bit, it'll cut through it relatively. But it's just unpleasant. But I wanted to start working on it in detail this morning. So in order to do that, I needed to push through it yesterday. I think that side is... I think that's good enough. This is all good, this is all good, this is all good. All the way to here. The front, you could see a little bit of it here that is a little... Yeah, I chill in the background usually, painting some BMPs, BRDMs, and a T-55 for AK-47 Republic. Ooh, have you come up with your factions yet? I was thinking about doing my imagination. I had come up with a whole... I got it somewhere about all my different factions. I think that's the appeal that kind of I brought to Gaslands, because I had this idea of everything was, we're going to make fun of everything. You had the main host country that's run by a dictator, and then they're fighting different groups of communists that are also the bad guy. So the main country is like the bad guy. Plus he's fighting plus you got mercenaries and stuff like that. Kind of think like what's the name of that movie? The Wild Geese. And then other nations don't want to stick their nose in there, and and all of that, like, tongue in cheek. It would be funny if this happened, and this would be hilarious. And I was like, man, I gotta do a lot of shit. I gotta do a lot of shit and create a game that might be fun to play. So I'm like, all right, well, Gaslands is already fun to play, so let's just take all that tongue in cheekness and just take that tongue in cheek energy and bring it to here. And that's kind of what's kept me going. And the sky's the limit. Literally, you can do anything. Well, you're choosing points, and I'm not sure to veer into the less common greens and use less common camo schemes. I like the old. I like the old ANS. I like the old and wrong light blue counter scheme. Yeah. My inspiration for for even getting into that in the first place was from that blog, which I haven't seen in over a decade. That Bangladesia blog that guy did. He did that blog where he was making that make believe nation, and I guess it was so popular that the people that made AK-47 Republic actually made a box set, if I remember correctly, with Bangladesia stuff. And that's kind of cool, but I, as much as I like my factions, I really don't, not that this is going to happen or has happened, I'd really prefer people not jump on that bandwagon and create like, hey, I got stuff for your profits of petrol. Dude, come up with your own fucking team. If I saw somebody's team that's like somebody I heard they had a faction that was taxi cabs that were all Italian mafiosos. That's a great fucking idea. I'm not going to take it. Come up with your own thing. But anyways, I wouldn't want, if I'd come up with Bangladesh, I wouldn't want other Bangladesians coming up with other storylines. Certainly be inspired by it, or at least like, oh, I never thought I could do something along those lines, You found out there's actually a place in the Congo called Bong County. I didn't know there was counties in the Congo. Yeah, the Congo is like fucking massive. I mean, you could just have like a whole thing there. Is it back to being called the Congo again? I still call it Zaire because it was new. When I started getting into geography, it was, oh, we don't call it Congo anymore. It's now Zaire. Because I think it turned Zaire in 71. And I think it like stopped being Zaire like in 99 or something like that, 90 something. And I just kind of, I don't keep up with current events. Once something's ingrained, I'm like, all right, well, you guys are going to be this. Not like, oh, we don't call it that anymore. Well, it's the same fucking thing. I'm not that old. Like, things shouldn't be changing that much in my lifetime. Oh, we don't call it Calcutta anymore. It's now called whatever they call it. Well, too late. I call it Calcutta. Madras, Bombay, I don't give a shit what you call it. Why get attached to it? If you're gonna just change it at any whim, it's just gonna be changed. You're just gonna change it again. It's still Mount McKinley to me. I think we got most of this crud off. All right. We need to find some fuel cans. Okay, I put one of them here. I thought I put one of them here. I mean, these guys ought to have fuel cans. They're the prophets of petrol. The holy liquid, you know. There are two countries, the Republic of Congo and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Yeah, the Democratic Republic of Congo has always been called the Democratic Country of Congo. That's the French Congo. And the big Congo, the Zaire Congo, is the Belgian one. The second one is shortened to DR, which catches people out as they kept calling it Dr. Congo. Well, I mean, if you're stupid, come on, man, nobody calls it that. You guys, I thought we had all the dumbasses here in the United States. Did you guys save a few over there? Well, we can't have the Americans have all the fun. We need some idiots here too. We'll put them all in Essex. Not that I've watched that show, but supposedly that's a thing. There's stupid people everywhere. I'm working on a North African imagination called Osirian. That's a good name. I suspect that it's Moroccan Algeria like. Yeah, there's enough names. I mean, no reason for anybody to take somebody else's name, you know? I may use something like that. Yeah, but like, you know, for my imagination, the communists, you know, you can't get enough communists. The communists, all like, what are the communists that attacked Rhodesia? You used the R word. Yeah, I did. Well, you know what I'm talking about if I say Rhodesia. If they attacked Rhodesia in the 70s, or, you know, they had the whole Bush War thing going, one of them was like Zanfla, and one was like Zanla, or whatever, and each one of them had a acronym. That was the same thing I was going to do, except there was, you know, any acronym was always self-deprecating. You know, in my world, like my UN was called MORON, Multinational Organization of Regional Observers and Negotiators. And I actually have a Moron vehicle. So, you know. So I kind of laid the groundwork for all that stuff, but it's just a lot of heavy lifting. You know, at the end of the day, what I like doing is just coming up with the tongue-in-cheek stuff and building things. You know, like actually coming up with rules for a game. It's not my main motivator. It's not honestly that exciting. You know? But, you know, there was going to be like the French. They were going to be called Frog. You know. French Regional Operations Group, I think is what it is. French Regional. Nothing against frogs, but we're going to make fun of everything. There weren't going to be any Americans in it. I don't think there was any British in it either. Just, you know, different type of stuff that I was thinking of. But, you know. But honestly, a Middle Eastern one I think would work better. I think it would be a lot more fun to do Absurdistan. You know? For uniforms, there's a good book called Modern Military Uniforms. I have it. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yep, and it's available cheap, too. I think this is meant to remove these things. Oh, I don't know how this is going to go. Let's try this. That's a great book. That's like the modern version of the World War II one. There's a World War II one that's like that. But the modern one in some ways is better. They're all based on like, at least the one I'm thinking of is all based on like color photographs or photographs. And then they're, I don't know if I'm using the right term, maybe not lithographs. It's something like basically take the photograph and like, and somebody colors it in with like watercolors. And it looks great. It's done really, really well. If it's the same one I'm thinking of. But I want to create my own type of stuff. So I do have a squad of my of my main country, which was going to be the Mandingo Republic, which are, if anybody is the good guys, it was them. They've got some guy that's just like a dictator guy, but he's not horrible, right? He's just a big guy with a really small penis, and he wants to tell everybody what to do, and that's really his only fault. He's not a communist. He's not a guy who gets on his knees for the Western powers. He's just, the cult of personality, but he's not horrible. He doesn't execute people, just because, they're wearing red shoes on Tuesday, So if anybody was the good guy, he'd be the good guy. He'd be the best guy of all the factions. There are no good guys, but he's the least worst of them all. He's the main protagonist of everything revolves around him. South and Central America is also good. They just don't make figures for them. That's the only reason. I totally agree with you. San Splendido. That's a good name. People's Republic of Sangria. I don't know about you, but you put People's Republic together, they're not going to be the good guys. Tropico, and I tried to play Tropico. It's just too much putting out fires. Yeah. Well, my faction for Hugo Chavez, and I made the Hugo Chavez like figure and the troops and his bodyguard. I would call them the República Caribeña, Caribbean Republic, and just left it at that. And when I picked names for them, I picked Venezuelan names. I went in like, okay, most common Venezuelan surnames. And I named the main guy, I specifically called him Contreras because that is a legitimate Spanish surname that means contrarian. So, I was coming up with that when Chavez was still around, and him and Bush were like, at each other's throats, so to speak. But there's not time and energy to do everything, and I think that bringing some of that the tongue-in-cheekness that is really the prime motivator for me to the Gaslands venue, where I don't have to worry about coming up with some kind of a game infrastructure to move these tongue-in-cheek type things, is better for me. Because like I say, I think that the faction design, the naming of things, coming up with the zaniness is the part of the appeal for me, not coming up with rules for another game system. If I wanted to do rules for another game system, I'd be working on the Renaissance rules, and I'm not interested in. Ulflamin's own units based on Iran, Jordan. They will fight Zetia, based on Iraq. I got Peter Pig figures are awesome. Let me just interject that right here. I know a lot of them, most of them are very Habsburg chinned, but I like them. And they're very, they seem like they're really solid. They're not like all flimsy and like gonna break on you. You got a bunch of Peter Pig militia guys, and I think they would fit for most regions. Team Yankee make Cubans, which they also sell as Iraqis. Yeah, no kidding. And a few others that might work for South America. I've only played, you said Team Yankee, and I saw Team Yankee and I thought Force on Force. I played one game of Force on Force. I had the rules. I didn't like it. I probably would like it more if I tinkered with it, but the rule book is just too beautiful to use. And I played one game of it. It was set in Iraq, and they're like, hey, what side do you want to be on? I'm like, I want to be the Fedayeen, and immediately I came up with our fake war cry, which was Fedayeen for the ween, and we actually won that scenario or whatever. Remember those guys? They lasted a month or two. Fedayeen for the ween. All right, let's see if we can put this bolt somewhere. Like, yeah, let's get a couple of these bolts. Let's cut a couple of these. I've had these things so damn long and not done a damn thing with them. These little bolts and things. Bolts and such. The 8K character packs are brilliant. 10 out of 10. 8K. Oh, like the ones that have like the religious leader and the dictator, or yeah. It's just 15 millimeter. Sorry, I don't hate 15 millimeter. It's my second choice, but you know, I want I want to do these cars. A lot of these cars that I have are from the cars I picked up to do. My imagination stuff. What's it fucking called? What did I call it? I forgot what the hell it was. Anyhow, All Whitey Then. All Whitey Then was a station wagon from Johnny Rockets. No, not Johnny Rockets. Johnny Lightning. That I was going to use for that. I got a Kennedy type of open cab Lincoln. I think it's a Lincoln Continental. It's a Lincoln Continental. I don't know why I said Kennedy. It's definitely later. I think it's like a 67 or something like that. That was going to be the main guys. The main guys thing, and I got some armored cars and things like that. But I got some palm trees now, so we could do that. But my energy's not there. I really enjoy the fact that I'm going to do 4 of these. I really enjoy the fact that I can build this and then go and do a Volkswagen Beetle right after it. And then I can switch from one thing to another and still be creating things that are useful, you know? Yeah, Mendingo Wars. Mendingo Wars, that's what it was. Because everything focuses on them. You know, they're the good. They're not good guys, but they're like the best guys. Like the dictator is nobody like Mugabe. Mugabe was, much worse. I don't know, somebody who's not that bad. Like he doesn't want to keep his people down necessarily. It's just, it's all about him. But all that came from finding Bongalesia one day on the miniatures page. And I'm like, fuck, that sounds cool. I just don't want to play a DBA type game. I didn't want to play an abstract type game. I want to play something that provided a really cool narrative and really funny. That's it. And I think this game, Gaslands, provides a really good narrative. And it definitely is very funny. You have more Battlefront 15mm U.S. militia and technicals to fight Netherlands infantry for an as yet unnamed country. The fucking Dutch? Yeah, the Dutch can't pass a drugs test, man. You need a whole stoned army. I guess what the Netherlands is known for. Whores and marijuana. And those wooden shoes, because they're not good swimmers. I guess. I forget that you guys and the Dutch got into it. I guess technically, I don't know that much about it. It's not my responsibility to know about it. I'm not a fan of lace wars. When everybody's dressing fruity like that, man, I'm not really a fan of that. That was your Catholic-inspired Brie king, right? That was Charles, whatever, the guy that got beheaded's son. He got into it with the Dutch, wasn't it? I don't even know who won. I think the British won. You guys should know. That's like asking me about Mexican-American War or something like that. You know. Those Battlefront Team Yankee Red Dawn guys are good sculpts, but 18 millimeter, they loom over the piggies. Yeah, I really like the Peter Pig stuff. I wouldn't use Peter Pig for like their ancient Germans, because like, those barbarian guys were bigger than Romans, supposedly. So why would you use tiny little guys? You know? I mean, they look good, but I like the style of their sculpting. I mean, I like everything about them other than the siziness of them. Things I would never even write in an email. Oh, can we get these headlamps on here yet? No, doesn't fit the bill. We'll find something for it. Looks like those stupid moon eye things that you see on podcast things. You know what I'm talking about. They look stupid. Well, I don't like them. All right, we're gonna... I know I sanded the bottom of this. I don't think that I did the fucking thing, though. I don't think it made much of a difference. You know what I'm talking about, those moon eye things? Like these little, like, when you're writing something on a piece of paper, look, and you put little eyes with a K, and don't miss this. The Bloody Dutch. Battlefront are more 187th than 100. Dude, this thing's been on for like 8 hours. Take a break. Take a break, dude. All right. So we've got those bolts that we're going to work in somewhere. What do we got here in the fuel department? Hey, it's really impractical to put a fuel on the side of these things. Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. These people are stupid. They're zealots. And for those of you guys that have not seen this, I'll show this to you. This is the IDNS. I have this coming in the mail. Hopefully from, what do we call that? Ching Pang Tui. Or Ching Pang Sui. Ching Pang Sui. All right, we'll call it Ching Pang Sui. Orders. I've never ordered one of these things before, so hopefully it's not a piece of shit. I guess I should probably do a review on it. They're relatively inexpensive. And I wanted some, rural Baptist-looking, puritanical little fucking shack church. I didn't want a cathedral. I didn't want it to be Greek Orthodox. I wanted it to be like, evangelistic redneckdom. And it's $15, made of wood or whatever. It's 7.5 centimeters, so what's that? 3 inches by 13. So what's that, like 4 or so? 3 by 4, and then it's about this tall. I'm gonna put an engine here at the top of it. It's not gonna be a cross. It's not Islamic zealots. It's people of a made up religion. Just think something that they would like do in Borderlands. Light me on fire, like self-deprecating shit. You know, they're lunatics, and it comes in this format. They make a couple little Russian buildings or whatever. If these are good, I'll get some Russian buildings for when I do, you know, that kind of stuff. And we're gonna paint it kind of like that in a way. A little bit more smoky, almost like it could have been on fire. And where's my photo? Where is my inspiration here from? Yeah, Prophets of Petrol. I literally took that photo, sent it to him, and I said, give me some ideas for this. So I think this is what their symbol's going to be. It's funny because, you know, sometimes you get good ideas from AI. Sorry, you know. But these guys are all sitting around going, you know, like, oh, God be praised, or, you know. And it's kind of this guy with his arms open. It's like they're like praying to a magic engine in the sky. Can almost make a song for them, but we're gonna pray to the engine in the sky. Yeah, and we're gonna put a big engine up there. Maybe not something of that magnitude because I don't have something, but I think there's a Hot Wheels. It's just like a self-propelled little engine by itself. Like that might be perfect for that. Anyways. This is not gonna, it's a school bus, but it won't look like a school bus. All right, let's get, and look at this face for this tow truck. This is the tow truck that ended up turning into that vehicle that, what do we call that? The big galoot. This is the one that came off of one of your Thomas Tank Engine type thingies. And it has a face, so I may try to put this on the Volkswagen bus. Because the Volkswagen bus is going to have that really long name that means, you know, a face that needs slapping. Well, give it a fucking face. I don't know if that'll work, but let's see if we can work that in there. You know, might be kind of cool. Might be kind of cool. Might not work at all. Man, this looks kind of cool sitting around this, too. But we're going to have to lose about half of it. I don't think I want to damage it. These little body kits kind of suck because, and it's not that they're terrible, it's just they're completely straight like this. And most bodies, when you put them, are sloped one way or another. So it's kind of hard to fill that gap. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just not a fun exercise. All right, so we're going to need to get some window treatments. All right, there's nothing to look at inside there. But we're going to try to use the bits that are the type pattern, which I don't find as useful. I don't find the type pattern as useful as the more open pattern. Let's go ahead and do that. Don't worry about any fuel cans. I got fuel cans galore. The Bloody Dutch. That reminds me that, what's that game? Pirates of the Spanish Main? I have the first set in the garage that I actually made money on. I found out about it on the miniatures page. It looked really cool. The game is trash. The game is absolute trash. The miniatures, I think, are pretty, I think are brilliant. It definitely is in need of other rules. The rules are just absolute, probably some of the worst miniatures rules I've ever read. Or attempted to read. Alright, right, we're going to need a pencil here to shore this up. If we go here, let's go to there. Remember when those things were the rage? That Pirates of the Spanish Main? The demand for it was more than the supply. And somehow I found out about it. Like, I don't do stocks, but if they had stocks on the miniatures page, maybe I would have. Well, I haven't been on the miniatures page in 15 years. It turned into one of those places where people wanted to argue about shit that wasn't hobby related. But I ended up figuring out how much I wanted to spend. Like, I spent like $50 or something like that on the game. And then sold my doubles on eBay. And then used those monies to buy more. And ended up funding a whole set of the... I have one of every ship of the first set. And tried to sell, the other ones. And what did I buy with that? Well, it was kind of a fail because I ended up buying that Wings of War shit with it. And then ended up having to sell that because, like, nobody wanted to play it. But it didn't cost me anything. It's the only thing I've, like, made money on hobby-wise. I'm gonna go ahead and glue that in place. I'll tell you what, I had so much problem with the super glue until I realized, hey, it's probably a good idea to mix it. And that made all the difference. Because it was separating on me. Alright, I think we got rid of Glulandia. I know it was your favorite place to visit. But we'll make another Glulandia. There just ended up being too much glue there. And I'm going to use a paper clip since I seem to be bringing a lot of them in from work. And I don't need that many police bumpers. Won't write on it? Republic of Gluland. Okay, this is the Republic of Gluland. How many representatives do they have? They don't have any. It's just bullshit. Been watching that Formula One thing on Netflix, that series with the daughter, and the wife's kind of been in the background, kind of watching. It's actually been really good, really interesting. Finally, I found something on TV interesting. The People's Republic of Gulandia, or Dr. Gulandia? No, it's not democratic. Democratic things are like, we'll let everybody vote, but nobody's vote counts. People's Republic. All right, I'll put People's on there. People's Republic. I'm a messy handwriting. It's like super slick on this. It's like, whoa, it's like ice skating. Like, let me pull out the pen. Whoa! It's like all over the place. That actually worked really well, so I don't fuck up a paintbrush doing that. Okay. I talked about this. Let's look at this before you guys leave. I know you guys have another life other than coming here. I appreciate you. I appreciate any time you guys spend here. But let's look at the decals. I know you guys probably want to look at this, and I'm kind of dying to see what decals I have that I could potentially use. No, we don't need readers. We need glasses, or we're not going to be able to find ourselves. Where is... Great, where's the decal thing? Salaman Beach. I need to make a magician called Salaman Beach. I would have already had one if I was into like doing fantasy and stuff like that. Is this it down here? No. And as organized as my shit is, there's always room for it to be more organized. What did I do with it? I put it away. That's what I should have done. There's the instructions. Ooh, there's some crooked spiders there. We don't need them. This would be useful. This is from a JU-86, I believe. This would be useful. No, it's from Dornier, the pencil one. Is that a B? It's not a D, I don't think. Anyways, I think this is too big. Yeah, the cross is too big. Damn it. That would have been perfect. Nope, that's the German one. Where's the one that has all the 1/35th scale ones? Because I don't care if I use them. Those need to be used. They don't really serve a purpose. Okay. Here they are. Now this is a lot more fun than just like, how many DVA armies would have been built? 2? Maybe 3? 2. I would have done one and been working on my second one instead of doing Gaslands. Like, okay, here's the Hornet that off the ME-109. That's going to go on that Hudson Hornet. This little Hornet symbol. I'm going to put that on the Hudson Hornet. And I might paint like an eye on it or something like that. Enhance it a little bit. All right, what are we looking for? We're looking for German crosses, and the white ones specifically. The ones for Poland, like freaking useless. I might actually have to go into my World War II bag and do that. And skulls, but not a skull that's like discernible as like, yeah, that's obviously a Totenkopf or something like that. I don't want Totenkopf. Here, this is a British tank thing, 1/35th scale from, I believe this is from Esche. I have a decal here that says Bert. I want a British tank that called Big Bert. When I do something for Cruel Britannia, the Cruel Britannia tank should be Big Bert. It'd be nice to do it yellow too, but it'd be, you know, really out of control. You know, like Big Bird. And everybody that's in it speaks in a really bad Cockney accent, like they were a chimney sweep on Mary Poppins, really to annoy the fuck out of you guys. I've said that before. You know, the whole reason that they didn't have him do that accent because I guess people complained that it was so over the top and ridiculous. I think it's more ridiculous to have him play a British person, but have a where is he? I think he's from Missouri. I think Dick Van Dyke's from Missouri or something like that. Just a generic Midwestern Americana accent. That's a lot more annoying, I think. Okay, I don't see anything here that is jumping out at me for that. This is all Germanic numbers. We don't need US stars. That's just a guide. No commie numbers. I'm going to try to put one of these French roundels on one of the French vehicles as an air recognition symbol from the top. I don't know if that'll work, but more fucking German numbers, Soviet numbers. I don't feel bad about using these. Like, I'm never going to build a 1/35th scale thing ever again. Like, why? Oh, let me take those Hostess decals. It's floating here somewhere that I cut off. Along with the little Twinkie dude, he's in there. Okay, here. These right here. These are from what? Kubelwagen or something like that. Here's some white crosses. These two, they're like the perfect size. I don't know if they'll shatter or not, but these two are perfect for that. It's the 232. So it's the decal set from the 232, which I had made mine Africa Core. And they're long gone. They look like shit. If I still had them, you'd be like, that stuff looks like crap. I said, yeah, I was the younger kid. You know, I didn't, we've all improved from the internet, hopefully. All right, what's this? This is, yeah, that's Totenkopf. Fuck those guys. What's worse than SS troops? SS troops that were drawn from concentration camp guards. That's worse. I'm not saying any of them are any good. I'm just saying there's different levels of worstdom. And that's one of them. Yeah, I don't want to use any obvious World War II shit because it would bug me. Even if it could, ooh, we got some crooked spiders here. .148 scale decals. I got those from somebody else. I really hate 148 scale. I don't know what I dislike more, 28 millimeter or 148 scale. Probably both. It's a tie. I don't like 28 millimeter because a lot of people, it's everywhere. And a lot of people that do 28 millimeter don't ever do any scale other than 28 millimeter. And I didn't grow up with it. I didn't play role-playing games or anything like that. So I don't have no love of 28 millimeter. And 148 scale reminds me of having a Lionel train set and never finding anything for it. And it's just, it brings back childhood memories that are annoying. Okay, I'm going to leave this one out too because this is a Tester's Italeri Panzerkampfwagen 1. I don't remember ever having that. So, might have been one of those kits I never built. Save the decals, throw the kit away. Oh, there's like a little cat there. That's for the 88 millimeter. 88 millimeter is really a good looking piece of weapons. Here's that Saddam dude looking dude. These are definitely yellowed. I don't care if they're yellowed or not, as long as they don't shatter. I'm surprised that they haven't shattered. Nope, nothing there. These aren't even I confiscated these from somebody. Those are caca. Crusader 3. I don't even remember having a Crusader 3. There's a big old crooked spider. We don't need anything there. Nope. British tank markings. This is the one from the Bren carrier. And this is obviously a T-72 of some form or another. Okay. I don't know why I need to have a cross decal. I'm going to put something in the cross. It's not, it's a cross for being, an ambulance, because it is an ambulance. An ambulance with a payload. All right, let's leave these handy. All right, so you've got this thing glued. We're gonna need something on this side. There's no point in making the windows. There's no point in making it easier to see out the side windows as the front, right? So if you used a tight pattern on the front, you can't convince me to use an open pattern on the sides, because it just doesn't make any sense. This is a stupid game, but please use some logic. So this is going to be one big window that covers both of them. On the other side, it's going to be two separate ones because we have a door here. And this is going to go from there to the top of that. This should fit on here. Right chia. Yep. There's still enough glueness to this. There sure is. I said that and then I run out. Where is it over here? Yeah, I guess it's just called Congo now, isn't it? The Kinshasa one. Hell, it may not even be called Kinshasa anymore. The big one. The Zaire one. Maps. Oh, how'd the world get turned sideways? Nope. Oh, it is Democratic Republic of Congo. Okay. I swear they've switched names. Lumbumbashi. It's like a made-up name. That's a Lumbumbashi special. My favorite, I'm sure there's probably another one I've never heard of. My favorite named African place is Ouagadougou. I love that. That's just such a freaking cool name. It's long as hell, and if you read it letter by letter, that's exactly what it sounds like. Ouagadougou. Hey, Ouagadougou. Ah. The Republic. So you have a place in like a Slavic country called the Republic of Tourette's. I work with a few people from there. Where are you from? I'm from Tourettesistan, you motherfucker. Oh man. Yeah, Central America would be fine. You'd be fighting over like bananas and stuff that they smuggle in bananas, you know. But they just don't make enough different variety of figures for them. Definitely need some Greenpeace type people get caught in the crossfire. The pig pens. All right, I'm going to cut something that is the width of both of them. Ooh, I don't know that I can using this one. No, I've got to use a real piece. People's Republic of Tourette's. Except it's not spelled T-U. It's not spelled like tour. It's spelled like, you know, something like in Czech or something. All that crazy shit could work for Hordes of the Things too. It's total too. I never liked Hordes of the Things because it was like, if the Hordes of the Things should have been exactly like whatever version of DBA you're playing, and then it just added some special rules and troop types. But all the conforming and everything should have been consistent with both of them, and as it isn't, and it's just like it hurts my brain to think about it. I think that was a missed opportunity. And some people claim, oh well, you know, the Hordes of the Things rules actually were better than DBA 2.2, and it may have been. But the reality is that I'm going to play DBA 2.2, not Hordes of the Things. So oh, thank you. Let's cut one of these off. All right, I want there to be a gap between these two. So I'm going to come in here and cut that vertical out. Cut right here. and glue it in place, because that's not going to change how we do it. Oh, why'd you slip on me, dude? Dude. What's that saying that they have? Isn't there some saying that, like this motivational little saying that I've seen, it's called eat, pray, love or something? No, eat, something like that. It could be drink, pray, die. Because there's almost like 3 different little spots here. Right? Is there a movie called that or something? I haven't seen it, but am I just imagining that? Eat, pray. Yeah, it's a film. Julia Roberts, I ain't gonna watch that. Oh, and Javier Bardem, double whammy. Nope. That's a toss-up who I dislike more. Probably that Spanish dude. Not a fan. Okay, I think we can. I thought I lost my feed. Oh, 6 people. Okay. 6 people in awe. Nah, you guys are working on shit. That's fine. Don't mind me. I can entertain myself. Yeah, we're going to do this about another hour. I think. Okay. Fuel. I wish I could put this engine popped out through here, but I'm gonna have to destroy too much of it. I think. I don't think I can get away with that. It doesn't have a no. It's not big enough. The space isn't large enough for it. All right. So if I had these 4 bolts, where would these 4 bolts? Well, let's figure out where these fuel canisters are going to be. This is a different design of one. little cutting board. You just need something to provide some resistance. Ooh, an opportunity to use weld cement. Nice! What's an American saying that you Britishers like? There may not be any. Fair enough. There's got to be some American sayings you guys like that, you know, are typically like, or you think are typically American. We'll be the judge of that. Gonna go get breakfast. I'll catch you later. Yep, I'll try to be on. I think I want to put 2 of these bolts. I'm going to figure out where the cross is going to go. If I'm going to put a cross, you know, the ambulance cross. I think one needs to be like here. And another one needs to be like here. And then we can put the cross here close to this one. I think they should probably work all right. Put both of them on there for that matter. Yeah, these glossy things are so damn slippery. Here's one. All right, let's look at get a gauge what size are. I think this is too damn big. I think this one's too big. These smaller ones are about the right size, and these are even smaller than those. So I think if I leave space for this, in this zone, if I decide to go with it, then let's just avoid that area. Let's avoid that area. And with I think I want to use the let's use the super glue. We can move around a little bit. I don't know exactly where it's going to be. Right in the middle of that bloody panel. And I don't want the bolt to be, I want it to be something that can be like tightened down. So I don't want them both to be the same angle. You know what I mean? I don't want them to both be turned the same way. Yeah, I think that's probably good. And then if we decide to put a cross, it'll be between those two. And again, it's not for religious purposes, it's an ambulance. That'll remind me that it's an ambulance. I'm doing it really for me. So, does this side look better than this one? Well, it's hard to tell. There's so many different colors that are just like running interference that it makes it difficult to kind of wrap your brain around that stuff. So we're going to put another one here. And the other one goes in the middle of this plate. Okay, that'll leave us some room to add a cross there if we wanted to. I don't have an intake or anything, do I? I don't think I do. I don't think I do. Be a good place for one. That fits in there. not saying any of these things will work, but let's at least take a gander. We've got a couple of exhaust things. Is there anywhere here that would really, other than like back here? Just break up the silhouette a little bit. This has got to go on like a streamlined vehicle. Man, that thing's pokey. No. That doesn't go. Man, this corner's sharp. That's something like this. It's not bad. That's not bad at all, actually. It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. All right, this is a cannon of some sort, and I probably should have done this before, although it's not the end of the world. Let me grab my pin vise, and let's drill out the center of this cannon so it looks imposing. Pin vise is over here. Should be over here. There's a big one right here. Doesn't work. This is specifically the pin vise that I got to drill out the bottom of the palm trees. Let's put a little divot and let's hold this down so we don't. Let's put a little divot in the middle. And drill out these other ones too while I'm at it. Don't have to be very deep, they just have to give you the impression of depth. Alright, let's go in with this one that is kind of small. This thing's heavy. You drop this on the top of your foot, you're gonna wish you hadn't. Something like that. Do the same thing on this. Once we got that in place, way too big. I mean, like, way too big. here, perchance? I hate to think how much more difficult this would be if this would be even more out of order. I don't really have this area out of order per se. Here it is. It's just sitting off to the side. You got plenty of different size drill bits. And this isn't even all of them. That's about right. Okay. I'm going to use this. I'm going to put it right there. There's actually enough super glue there. See if I can use a trick. I don't know if this will work. This is actually a really useful trick if I can do it. I think it'll work. We're going to take a photograph of this. And I want it to render it all in black. So I can see everything in one color. Because right now it just looks like a freaking wild circus. All the way to the bottom. Show me what this would look like primed in black, all in one color. I really like it. I don't love the front of it that is just bam. It's like the front of the vehicle is just like slab sided front. I don't love it. It might be fine. It's just and this is actually a 5.2 vehicle, if I remember correctly. Ambulance is 5.2. So 5 gear, 2 maneuverability, or 2 handling. So the tracks make it drop it to 4 speed, 3 handling. This is handy. Oh crap, I got all the way to it because I turned it the other way. Let's download the image so I can freaking see it. Okay. Or you could see, hey, show me what this thing looks like in blue or something like that, just to kind of get an idea if you're on the right track. Yeah, I think this is what we're gonna go with. Oh shit! I haven't even put the freaking fuel tanks on there, dumbass. It's Dumas. No, no, it's not. Okay, and these sit right exactly where there's the ridge, unfortunately. I don't want to have this thing here because it looks like we should drip oil because it should. And I don't have any points left over for that. Because I'm not going to give up the RAM. I'm not going to give up the weapon. Let's be liberal with this. And is it fuel? Is it rounds of ammo or something? I don't know. You figure it out. Shit on a shingle. And that may not hold. I may have to go in there with like epoxy or hot glue or something like that. And it's definitely going to have rust color. I might even paint it metallic. I'm going to paint it all black, and I may just dry brush the hell out of it in metal and then just paint a couple things in a couple different colors. All right, folks, so I'm going to cut out. I got to do my morning stuff. But thanks for joining me.